How do you avoid being the difficult client? That's the topic I'm addressing today in The Right Question. I'm Daphne Gray Grant, the publication coach. I have a question from Mark Burka, a businessman based in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Here's what he's asked via email. Do you have any advice on how to avoid being a difficult client when hiring freelance writers? I recently launched an informational website. I work with freelancers very often, and I'd like to make sure I'm not scaring any candidates away. I'd appreciate your point of view. Thanks for your question, Mark. How refreshing it is to hear from a business person who wants to do the right thing for freelancers. Here are 6 steps you can take if you want to be the opposite of a difficult client. 1. Communicate comprehensively. Difficult clients expect freelancers to be mind readers. Instead, communicate profligately. Tell them everything you think they need to know and more, and this includes giving them samples of the kind of work you'd like from them. You know the expression, a picture is worth 1,000 words? That same thing applies here. If you can show freelancers an example of the kind of writing you want done, voila, you've just made their work a lot easier, and you've increased your own chances of getting exactly the kind of work you want back. 2. Accept feedback from freelancers. To explain this point, let me tell you the story of a client who wanted a 600-word article from me. The word count was nailed in stone, but the client asked me to interview 10 people. I told them this was an impossible assignment. Think about it. That would be only 60 words per source. I just couldn't do it. Fortunately, when I explained to the client that 3 was the maximum number of people I could interview for a 600-word piece, she accepted my advice. Sometimes freelancers understand limitations that the client doesn't. 3. Provide a contract. Freelancers often work without contracts. This is bad news for the freelancer and bad news for you, the business. You will both be better protected if you have a contract outlining deadlines, word counts, rates of pay, and other important details. 4. Be responsive to their questions. Freelancers often feel as though they're stuck in a black hole. All of a sudden, no one from the company will return calls from them anymore. If you don't have the time to provide this sort of support, then assign someone else to do it. The freelancers may need your company's help on a whole host of issues, ranging from persuading unwilling sources to actually speak to getting more detail about exactly what your company needs in terms of the stories. If someone answers their questions relatively quickly, the freelancer is going to be able to do a better job for you. 5. Review their work promptly. Nothing is worse for a freelancer than knocking themselves out to get a story in on time to you and then having to wait around for 3 weeks for any sort of response from you. Your contract should specify not just the freelancer's deadline for getting the story into you, but also your deadline for getting a response back to them. And of course, it's imperative that you meet this deadline. 6. Pay on time. It's surprising how many freelancers have to wait many months to be paid. When I worked as a freelance book editor, I'll never forget the time I had to wait more than 9 months for a $600 expense check from a publisher. Don't make your freelancers wait any longer than 30 days. I think many of these points are going to be pretty obvious to you, Mark, but just remember, freelancers are like your regular employees, only they have less job security. Finally, let me wrap up with a quote from the American civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? In helping others, Mark, you're also going to be helping yourself. Freelancers are so accustomed to working for people who treat them very badly, so they're going to be thrilled to work for someone who treats them with respect. If you'd like to learn more about how to make writing a happier and more rewarding process, check out my latest book, Your Happy First Draft. It's not available in bookstores or on Amazon. The only place you can get it is my website, link below.